Hola, my lovelies! Who's going to the airport this summer? ¿Quién va a pasar por los aeropuertos? Yo me paso la vida de aeropuerto en aeropuerto. I spend my whole life from airport to airport. And today I thought, why not have a look at airport vocabulary? En español and in English. ¿Vamos al aeropuerto? ¡Venga, vamos! Llegas al aeropuerto con tus maletas, you arrive to the airport with your suitcases. Wait a minute! Are you at the right terminal? How do you say terminal in Spanish? Terminal. Como la película. Qué buena esa película, por cierto. La terminal. En Madrid, por ejemplo, tenemos 4 terminales. La T1, la T2, T for terminal. So in Madrid, we've got 4 of them. I know in London, depends on the airport. Heathrow, I think, has got like 5 of them. So you definitely need to know which terminal you're leaving from. And that would be, ¿qué terminal es? Which terminal is it? ¿Qué terminal es? ¿A qué terminal vamos? Which terminal are we going to? Más de una vez me he ido yo a la que no era. Yeah, it's happened to me more than once that I've gone to the wrong one, guys. Another very important thing, especially when it comes to picking the right parking, is are you going to departures, salidas, or are you going to arrivals, llegadas? Salidas, llegadas. Salidas normally has this temporary car park where you can only be for like 5-10 minutes, and this winds me up big time. En Inglaterra te cobran. In England they charge you to be there. In Madrid it's completely free. In London, last time I was there, I had to pay like, I don't know what it was, six pounds, something like. Outrageous. Todo por dejarte ahí, just to drop you off. In the other one, if you go to llegadas, you've got the long stay car park where you can stay for a bit longer. Consigues llegar a la terminal. You make it to the terminal. You are there. What do you need? Do you need a trolley? ¿Necesitas un carrito? Again, these are normally free in all Spanish airports as far as I'm concerned, but in England, sometimes they charge you to get a trolley. So, ¿necesitas un carrito? Do you need a cart? Do you need a trolley? In England, we call them trolley. In the US, they call them a cart. Entras a la terminal con tu carrito, con tus maletas. You enter the terminal with your luggage, everything. And where do you have to go? ¿Dónde tienes que ir? Al mostrador de facturación, the check-in desk. But before that, you need to know which one it is, because there's loads of them. ¿Cuál de todos? Así que échale un ojo, have a look at la pantalla, the screen. The arrival departure board, normally it's there, normalmente está ahí, el check-in, and it normally shows it in English, okay? It normally says check-in, ta-da-da. It just shows you the numbers. Te enseña los números y listo, la compañía, el vuelo y el número de mostrador al que tienes que ir. Y ahora vamos a hacer cola. We're going to queue. In Spanish we say hacer cola, to queue. So you need to queue at the mostrador. Sometimes you need to queue for longer. Hay veces que pasas más tiempo, otras veces que es automático. Sometimes it's automatic. Have you seen these new machines that you can do the check-in by yourself? It's a bit intimidating. I'm always thinking that I'm going to do it wrong, but it's actually very quick. Es muy rápido. Son máquinas que lo haces tú solo. Importante, yo siempre lo paso muy mal. I always have a really tough time when I'm putting my luggage to weight because I always think I'm going to be por encima del límite de peso, overweight. You have a baggage allowance, un límite de kilos de equipaje, un límite de peso, y no te puedes pasar, you can't go over it. Y yo a veces me paso, and that sometimes happens to me. I've been in that situation and literally taking out clothes and everything I could from the suitcase there and then. Yes, I've been that annoying person, putting them on me and trying to get away with that so I wouldn't have to pay extra kilos. So those maletas, suitcases that you're weighing, que estás pesando, son las maletas para facturar, the check-in luggage. Vamos. De toda la vida. Yes, suitcases, maletas. Pero también llevamos equipaje de mano, hand luggage, also known as carry-on luggage. Okay, so finally you are there speaking to the lovely lady or the lovely gentleman that's there atendiéndote, serving you, and he or she is going to ask you for pasaporte, passport, tarjeta de embarque, boarding pass, Normalmente son electrónicas. Nowadays they're all electronic. If you are flying within Europe or it's a domestic flight, they might just ask you for your ID, documento de identidad. That's not any good for me anymore now that I'm living in England, and England is no longer part of the EU. So speaking of vuelos, flights, you can have different type of flights. You can have the domestic flight, which is the vuelo nacional. Okay, you don't leave the country's borders. You are just flying within the same country. Por ejemplo, de Madrid a Barcelona. O un vuelo internacional. You are flying to another country. Internacional, international. When you're booking your flight, you can pick on the website, puedes elegir entre un vuelo de ida, single trip, okay, a single flight, or un vuelo de ida y vuelta. You go and you come back. So that's a return flight, okay? Ida, single, ida y vuelta, return flight. Puedes tener un vuelo directo. You can have a direct flight that is non-stops. You have no stops, and that is beautiful if you ask me. Or you can have con escalas, with stops. And if you have escalas, you will be on vuelos de conexión, connecting flights. You can have what they call a long-haul flight, which is a flight that's longer than 6 hours. Un vuelo de más de 6 horas. We don't really have a word to describe it in Spanish. I've heard it more in English, and even Spanish people refer to it in English terms. Or a transatlantic. Un vuelo transatlántico. Your suitcases are checked in. Has facturado tus maletas. Facturar las maletas is to check in your luggage. Acuérdate. ¿Ahora qué? Ahora toca seguridad. We're going to the security check. So I know the rules have recently changed. I know it used to be, I don't know if you remember, liquids, laptop, tablets, shoes off, all of that. And I used to get there and I know exactly what to do every time. Shoes off, laptop out, iPad out, you know, different tray. This here, the liquids on another tray, in the little bag. Now it's no longer the case. Ahora ya no se hace así. Apparently you can now enter liquids, but you can now enter liquids through the security check. So I'm not sure which airports this is going from, but I know that in some airports, especially now in the UK, you are no longer required to do this. But just in case, por si acaso, yo te lo cuento. I'm going to tell you just in case. Security check, control de seguridad. Normalmente tienes policía, you've got the police over there. Okay? You need to take out of your bag the liquids. Los líquidos fuera. Belts, cinturón, cosas de metal. Okay? So maybe you need to take off your belt. Quitarse, to take off. Quitarse. Quitarse el cinturón. Take off your belt. Quitarse el reloj. Take off your watch. They would say to you, quítate el reloj. Take off your watch. O quítate los zapatos. Remove your shoes. Take off your shoes. Remove, to take off. Quitar. Quítate. Las botas, the boots as well, they can ask you. They normally ask me to remove because I've got either boots or the wedges in the summer. I always have some kind of high heel. I'm never the one that travels in flat shoes. Yes, I know, you're not surprised, are you? So yes, I always have to remove them and go barefoot, which is minging if you ask me. Qué asqueroso caminar por un aeropuerto. Hay veces que tienen las bolsitas para los pies. Sometimes they have these kind of bolsitas, bags that you put your feet inside, but sometimes they don't and you just have to go barefoot and... Okay, so now they ask you to come in. Come in. Pasa. Pasa. Go ahead. Pasa. Come on in. Through the check. And sometimes they might even do body check, or as they call it, a pat down. They pat you down from head to toes. So it's a search, okay? They would do a search on you. Sometimes they don't touch you, they just do it with the thingies, don't they? The machine that makes that noise, the beep, 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 beep. Okay, in Spanish that is cachear. Tengo que cachearte, voy a hacerte un cacheo. Obviously you get the female police, la señorita policía, o el hombre if you're a male, okay? Y te cachean. Cachear is to pat down or to do a body search, if you wish to call it that way. And sometimes if you're lucky enough, you will get a random check. Un chequeo, un control rutinario. which is when your suitcase doesn't go the normal way everybody else's goes. It goes the other way around. Yes. And you have to wait until they do the drug test and everything on it. So, un chequeo rutinario. A mí muchas veces me quitan la maleta. They take my suitcase many times porque llevo morcilla. Or chorizo, because I have a morcilla, a chorizo, and it's got like some kind of suspicious shape, I guess, and they always stop me for the same. Whenever I have morcilla, I know they're going to stop me. Morcilla or chorizo, it's, yeah, they always do, but they never take my morcilla. They wouldn't dare. And the phrase is always the same: se han llevado mi maleta. They've taken my suitcase. They might ask you, te pueden preguntar, anything to declare? ¿Algo que declarar? Y yo sí, morcilla. Eso es en customs. That's in customs, isn't it? En español, customs es aduana. La aduana. Donde se declara lo que llevas. Muchas veces declaras si llevas mucho dinero, if you have too much money on you. I don't have those problems. But the question would be, ¿algo para declarar? Anything to declare? ¿Algo para declarar? Y ya ha pasado todo lo estresante. All the stressful things have gone now, and now we are at my favorite place. Las tiendas. The shops. Las tiendas, or el duty free. We also call it like that in Spanish, duty free. Technically it would be tiendas libres de impuestos, but we just call it duty free. Un consejito, comprueba que tu vuelo no va con retraso. Check that your flight is not delayed. So you need to go again to the pantalla, to the screen. Hay que ir a comprobar el vuelo en la pantalla. Y mira con mucho cuidado, look very carefully, encuentra, find your puerta de embarque, your boarding gate. I might or might not have recently missed the flight because I looked at the wrong flight number on the screen. Esta es una historia de verdad que mejor no recordar. Yeah, I looked at the wrong flight. There were two flights to London Heathrow, one right after the other. There was a difference of 5 minutes. I didn't check that. I didn't check the flight number. I looked and I saw, oh, London Heathrow. Okay, that's mine. Yeah, that's the time. Okay, cool. And I went to the boarding gate that was next to the one I was meant to be in. Again, 5-minute difference in the flights. Missed my flight. Perdí mi vuelo, por tonta, ¿ok? Así que mirar todo con muchísimo cuidado, por favor. El número, todo, en la pantalla. Check very carefully. So what have we learned from this? ¿Qué hemos aprendido de esta historia? Don't be like Patry. Check your flight number. Mira el vuelo, el número y la puerta de embarque. Y luego, una vez que tienes eso controlado, once you've got that under control, you go to the waiting lounge. Vas a esperar en la sala de espera. Y si tienes mucha suerte, tendrás la sala business. If you're really lucky, you might even be able to go to the business lounge. La sala business. Yo he ido varias veces y mola, mola. Yo soy la típica que voy ahí y aunque no tenga hambre, tengo que aprovechar el buffet. Even if I'm not hungry, if I'm in the business lounge and the food is included in the buffet, hay que aprovechar. You need to make the most of it. Vamos, no me llevo tupper de milagro. I don't take a tupper. I don't know. I should even take a tupper. No te digo más. Sobre todo en España. En España el business lounge está muy bien. Buenísimo todo. Okay, and now boarding begins. Comienza el embarque. Boarding. Fíjate bien. Check very well. ¿Qué cola es la tuya? Which is your queue? Cola. Queue. Fila. En algunos países. In other countries they call it a fila. En España lo llamamos cola, like tail, cola. In some companies, they will call you by groups. Te llaman por grupos, ¿ok? Me río porque así me di cuenta yo. That's how I realized that was not my flight, the one that I was waiting for, because they started calling us by groups. And in my boarding pass, there was no group. And I was thinking, wait a minute. And that's when I started doing a runner to the screens, checking that there was not another flight. And that's when I realized my flight had already closed the doors and left without me. ¡Qué disgusto! Madre mía. Así que miradlo bien. Los grupos, ¿ok? Groups, grupo 1, grupo 2, grupo 3, etc. O hay veces que hay dos colas, simplemente. La Flexi Plus, tararara, esa, que casi hay más gente que en la otra, y la cola normal. ¿Ok? So you have the two queues. Sometimes you just need to pick which one it is. Por cierto, ¿qué tipo de billete tienes? What type of ticket do you have? ¿Tienes un billete de primera clase? Do you have a first class ticket? ¿Billete de primera clase? ¡Wow! ¿Tienes un billete business class? ¿Clase business? We actually call it business. ¿Clase business? Or are you in coach or tourist? Turista. Turista. That's how we call it. Okay, now you have started the boarding. You are through the gates. How do you get to the plane? ¿Cómo llegas al avión? Hay varias formas. A veces te ponen un dedo. Un finger, que yo pensaba que en inglés era finger. You know, those little plasticky accordion looking things that you go inside, so you are literally transported from the terminal to the plane without having to go outside, okay? That's what I would call un finger, okay? Te ponen el finger, because it looks like a finger. Apparently, in English, they don't call it that, or as far as I'm concerned, my husband told me that he had never heard that word before, referring to that, until he met me. I think they call it something like gangway or gangway. I think he just told me that it was a gangway, but he's not even sure how you would call it. So if anybody can leave it to me in the comments, how would you call that? I'd really appreciate it. I call it in Spanish un dedo, el finger, okay? Nos han puesto un finger para llegar al avión. Or sometimes it's really annoying, but you need to have a shuttle bus taking you to the plane, ¿verdad? Molesta mucho cuando te ponen el típico autobús. But yeah, sometimes you need to get it. So, autobús de transporte. Nos han puesto un autobús. Y a veces te toca caminar. Sometimes you just have to walk. I've got absolutely soaked sometimes in England, going from the terminal, walking to the plane. Una tormenta, vamos. Llegamos al avión, we arrive to the plane. Hello, good afternoon, welcome on board. ¿Verdad? Son más majas. So there they are, the air hostess, all the stewards, azafatas y azafatos dándote la bienvenida, welcoming you into the flight. Hay veces que te preguntan ¿qué asiento tienes? Sometimes they may ask you what's your seat number? ¿Qué asiento tienes? Which seat do you have? 15A, 15A. No sé, por ejemplo. Or sometimes you just show them the ticket. Les puedes enseñar el billete. Llegamos al momento de tensión. I always get very tense in this moment. El takeoff. How would you say takeoff in Spanish? El despegue. Despegue. Vamos a despegar. We are going to take off. Vamos a despegar. And I do this. I'm not a very good flyer. No soy, lo hago mucho, pero siempre me pongo tensa. I always get very tense at that point. It wouldn't be the first time that I've had to hold the person next to me, the stranger's hand next to me, because I get really stressed out. Especially when there are turbulencias. Ay, Dios mío, que no me pilla a mí un vuelo con turbulencias. A bumpy flight. Un vuelo con turbulencias. En cualquier caso, siempre me veréis con el cinturón. No es que sirva de mucho, pero bueno, el cinturón abrochado. With my seatbelt fastened. Es lo que te dicen ellos, ¿verdad? Fasten your seatbelts. Abróchense los cinturones. Vamos a despegar. Podría haber sido azafata yo, vamos, perfectamente. Si no fuera porque me da miedo volar, I could have been an air hostess if it wasn't for the fact that I'm scared of flying. Llegas a tu destino, you arrive to your destination, y para llegar al destino, ¿qué tienes que hacer? What do you have to do? You need to land. Hopefully you need to land, okay? So, un landing es un aterrizaje. Aterrizaje. Landing. Aterrizaje. To land, aterrizar. Vamos a aterrizar. We are going to land. Señoras y señores, o queridos pasajeros, como diría el piloto. Piloto. Eso es lo que dicen realmente. Yo no entiendo nada. I can't understand them every time. It doesn't matter if they're speaking English, Spanish. I don't know if you can. It looks like they do it on purpose. It's like a competition. Who can mumble the most being a pilot? Honestly, pilotos del mundo, por favor, por favor os lo pedimos. Hablar clarito, porque la gente que tenemos miedo a los vuelos, like me, people that are scared of flights, whenever I can't understand you and maybe I hear the word "Turbulencias", my heart is about to fall out of my chest. Se me sale el corazón del pecho porque no entiendo nada. Y no sé lo que pasa. Así que por favor, sed claros. So, ¿tienes un aterrizaje? Señoras y pasajeros, estamos a punto de aterrizar. We are about to land. A punto de, about to. Y ya está. Aterrizas, dices adiós, buenos días, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Adiós. And you go to your baggage claim and you will see it on the signs in the airport. It says recogida de equipajes, baggage claim. Now I know you're thinking, Patry, most of the signs in the airports or all of the signs are going to be in English as well. I know. Pero nunca está de más sabérselo también en español. But if you go to Spain or any other Spanish-speaking countries, then you can also understand the signs in the language. It's really cool. And you can also ask for all of these places in Spanish. Okay, so I hope this video was very useful. Leave me a comment and give me a follow if you haven't yet, please, if you found this video useful. And tell me, ¿dónde te vas de vacaciones? Where are you going on holidays this year? Yo me voy a España. Adiós chicos, gracias y feliz vuelo.